telling you, hey, we are doing it. Mtadu. You know, what are you telling us? What moral standing do you have? You know, and others will attack even the leaders themselves for some of them having their laundry out there. You know, so what can you say about the extremes in our society? Extremes.
In fact, the reason why we have these discussions and we put them bare, it's like, you remember back in the day when our mothers would tell us that if you speak to a boy, you're going to get pregnant. Don't talk to boys. That did not stop us from talking to boys or from speaking to boys. And unfortunately, some ended up getting pregnant because the conversation wasn't, you are of age, your hormones are out there, and you're bound to be attracted to a boy or to be attracted to a girl.
So is it that, just before you, you answer that question, is it that people are not taught to be aware of their bodies and themselves? So as a parent, you're more afraid of what this child will do because of the power, quote unquote, they have within it. I mean, everyone has a sense of what they want. So even if you tell me something and I don't want to do it, I'll still do it. So are they afraid of their own children? Are they afraid of what their bodies can do? What is the fear? How can we define the fear?
Because the fear, I think the fear is the aftermath, the outcome of the relationship. Instead of sitting down, for instance, with a child and saying that you're 13, you're 14 now, you start to like boys, you'll start to like girls. Let's have this discussion and see that if that time comes, this is how you go about it, instead of just cutting it out. Because the moment you say you're still 13, focus on your books, that does not help the child to be like, oh, I'm 13, I'm supposed to focus on my books. They've got hormones that are going through their bodies. It's crazy, it's wild, and they don't know how to channel it. And the only thing you've done is to tell them no, instead of telling them how to navigate it. We were never taught how to navigate it. So we went through high school or primary, and you're 13 and you're 14 and you like a boy, you're like, if I speak to him, my mother will be, but you still find yourself talking to the person. So the same thing is happening in this discussion, in this conversation, where we are telling people, don't be with older men, don't be with older women, and these things are still happening, and they go to extremes where now people are they're
open, it's black and white, and they'll justify and they'll tell you reasons, and you know, the same thing, Nangami, is it actually feels like it makes sense. Like this is a vice, it's black and white, but they'll explain to you, I'm doing this because of ABCD, and you'll be like, okay, maybe you are coming from somewhere.
Because we have not looked at the cause. What is the real issue? What is happening? Why are people doing the things the way they're doing, or why are they doing what they're doing? That's the thing that's supposed to be the conversation, instead of just coming out and moralizing issues and be like, don't do this and don't do that. And one thing that for me usually I say to young women is, you have to learn how to protect yourself, because you put yourself in danger. And for a woman who doesn't have her own money, she's prone to danger, she's open to danger. Like you can see out here, it's raining right now. It has been raining the last night. If a woman doesn't have her own money, someone will call her in the middle of the night and be like, oh, I've missed you, and you know, I want to have some good time. And because she doesn't have rent money, or because she needs to top up, you know, some 10,000 for her rent money, she's going to leave dead in the night, cold, get into an Uber that has been sent for her to go to that house in order for her to get the money. Now, a lot can happen in between. You're leaving your house at midnight, going to see this other guy, you're in an Uber, this person might decide to attack you, this Uber guy might decide to do something, you know, evil to you. So it's very dangerous. And then you go to this other place, something can still happen to you on the other direction. So you see, the reason why women are doing all of these things, not just because they love money. There's a root cause, and some of it is just they don't have the money. They don't have the financial muscle for it. So we can sit and judge and say, oh, you know, women are dating men who have money, but that's not the problem. What is the problem? Because now it leads to certain things. There are certain, let me say, caliber, or there's a certain type of femicide, let alone the ones that happen in marriage, where these are people who are in love, But there's femicide that is happening to women simply because women were in dangerous situations. So why were they in those dangerous situations? Especially the ones that we saw in the beginning of the year, where a woman was found, you know, murdered in an Airbnb, or she was found, she was thrown off a building because she did not consent to having, you know, intercourse. Those are really dangerous situations. And some of those things would not have happened to those women had they taken a step back and critically assessed the situation. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into that conversation when it comes now to mastering yourself. Women coming to the understanding that money may not just be the goal. It's not just about money. My safety is at stake. How do I protect myself? Because usually we come from a society where we think that it is the responsibility for the society to take care of us. It is the responsibility for men to be, you know, gentlemen and not to harm women. We live in a society with sociopaths. Sociopaths are running countries, nations, where they go head-to-head war with others. So you can't be in that society and expect that it's going to be business as usual. Women are just going to walk down a street dark in the night and they'll not be attacked. I say this especially when it comes to women's safety. Men are also afraid of men. When men tell a woman, be careful of your safety, be cautious, be mindful of who you interact with, it's going to get deadly immediately. It's not because sometimes men don't want to hold other men accountable. It's because men know what other men are capable of doing. That is why men have respect between them. Because men know if I disrespect another man, it's going to turn violent really fast. Kicks are going to fly. That's why men have got the understanding of respect. I have to respect this other guy, otherwise I'm going to be murdered by this other guy. It's not personal. So when men tell women, be careful of other men, it's because even men know that how deranged certain men are, and it's the responsibility of women to hear it and to listen and to say, oh, my safety is very important, let me take care of myself. This is not to blame, the victims and the women who found themselves in certain situations, but it's just to put it out there and say, how do we have this conversation moving forward? Yes.
Ideally, you'd find that some women would say, we are not, stop killing us.
Yes.
Stop doing A, B, C, D to us. We don't deserve it, which is true.
Which is true.
And also there's, like I was telling you, last semester I was in a class which describes exactly when you're in particular situations, what can happen to you. And that's in both men and women. But we're also in a society where you could argue and say the economic pressure, the surroundings, everything is so dire that whatever you're doing to get yourself a little money, quote unquote, is justified. And a lot of people, you hear them arguing with that particular perspective.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that whatever is happening is not happening. Or when the president says, he issues a statement to all the security agencies to be on standby, or, to put specific measures. Or we have we have a rights group saying that this should be declared a national disaster.
Sure.
And literally the next day, we have an issue where a woman is killed. So there's a lot that is upside down in society, and there's a lot of audacity. So it's like common sense is not in the room.
Yes.
And law enforcement seems to work and seems not to work. So when you have such kind of a pressure where things feel impossible and you cannot explain, what is the simplest?
Right. I'd like to give my perspective. I'm not so sure if this will be everybody's perspective, but I'd say that at a macro level, it is the responsibility of government and security bodies to make sure that they protect us, that they offer us the reassurance that we're going to be taken care of. If I have been violated, I can go and get justice. If I call the police, they're going to respond and things are going to be handled the way they should be handled at a macro level. But at a micro level, you're responsible for your own life. At a micro level, as an individual, because this is Africa, but life is lived individually. Life is lived individually. That is why all the time when you work on yourself, both men and women, you know that preservation of life, especially when it comes to a man, it doesn't matter how much this woman has wronged me. She's taken my money, she's taken my house, she's taken my cars. I will never get to certain levels when it comes to taking out life or a jilted love, because emotionally I'm grounded. I've taken care of my traumas. Emotionally I'm well when it comes to that environment. And then also for women to work on themselves, for them to see the telltale signs. Because by the time someone that you're living with comes to, unalive you, usually it means that might not be the first time. It has been happening. But there are so many things that go into that situation. Oh, we have kids, or she can't leave, she doesn't have the money to leave, or she has got low self-esteem, so she just stayed through the abuse until it became fatal. So you see, at an individual level, there's a lot of work that is supposed to be done by people at an individual level to know that when I see danger, I run away from it so that this person doesn't unalive me. And also for the men to know that it doesn't matter what has happened to me or how far I have been wronged, I will never get to a certain level, because emotionally I cannot be manipulated enough, or nothing can happen to me to get to the extremes. So that is why I think a lot of sensitization needs to happen to both men and women, for the men to be in touch with their emotions and their feelings, to know that no matter how bad things get, I would never lay my hands on a woman, and also for women to understand that no matter how bad it gets, I still have the freedom to walk away when it's too early. And also for those who find themselves in dangerous situations, they steer clear of danger.
Right.
Yes.
Now that mentioned, I want to take you back a bit because we're about to wind up.
All right.
And I'll bring your, bring you to this situation. And I saw it on social media. I think that was TikTok. And it was a narration about a particular young lady who was saying that she got with her partner when they were pretty young, and they're both high school dropouts.
Yes.
But of course, you've heard it. Oh, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So quickly for our audience, then, they got together. He had aspirations of being a particular, someone in society, and he went on to finish high school, got his degree, got his master's, and she didn't do much in her, around her education and the like. So she didn't, go to school, finish high school, get her degree and her master's, and then now she finds that the gentleman is moving ahead and he wants to do things, and they're not at par anymore. They're direct extremes.
Yes.
So she feels a type of way, and she doesn't feel like he's. What was that thing she said? She doesn't feel like he is. No, the prime thing we were talking about. He's wasted. Like he's not there for her the way she was for him, especially now that he is this, established figure. What's your perspective on that?
Because to be honest, sometimes we'd like to romanticize and be like, oh, boy, yeah, too bad for her. She built him and they started together, and now that he's doing really well. Like for me, I'd really be cut, about it. I'll be really raw about it and say that she didn't do the work on herself. And honestly, people are all about preserving themselves. At the end of the day, when someone does well and they get to a certain place where they realize that their preferences have changed, you did not keep up. So you can't fault them for not keeping up. Even at work, this is what is expected at work. That if everyone is upgrading their skill, everybody's going back to school and getting an education, and then you're left behind. When people are being offered promotions, you can't say I've been with the company for 20 years, for crying out loud. Even if I don't have I did not go back to school, please, give me an opportunity. Let me ascend the ladder. No, you're going to be left behind. In fact, you're going to be considered redundant. You're going to be let go. It happens through life. That's why I say we approach life as it is, not as we hope it to be. If someone has done the work on themselves and they're doing well, and you did not do the work on yourself, then when you're left behind, it cannot be, you can't fault them for that. So I sympathize with the lady, I sympathize with the situation, but unfortunately,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Nangami. I appreciate you coming here and breaking this down. I mean, this conversation has its turns, but thank you for elaborating, specific aspects within this conversation. That is, what are you supposed to be doing at your prime? Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Right. Our guest this morning has been Nangami Masaha. She's a public speaker, corporate trainer, and mentor. And today we've been speaking about, your prime and what exactly essentially should you be doing while you're in it, and what exactly is your prime. Thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday on Heart to Heart. My name is Remmy Majala. We'll see you again tomorrow.